conquest. Before the world feared the name of Genghis Khan, there was a terrified boy abandoned on the freezing plains of Mongolia. A boy whose family was left to die. No army, no kingdom, no food. And somehow, that starving child would build the deadliest empire the world had ever seen. But the real story of the Mongol Empire is not just about one man. It is the story of how suffering created warriors, how fear became a weapon, and how an empire built for conquest eventually destroyed itself. The Mongolian steppe was not a place that forgave weakness. Winter could freeze entire families to death. Bandits attacked without warning. Tribes betrayed each other constantly. Survival itself was war. Around the year 1162, a boy named Temujin was born into this brutal world. His father was poisoned by rivals when Temujin was still a child. And almost immediately everything collapsed. His own tribe abandoned the family. Not because they hated them, because feeding extra mouths on the steppe meant death for everyone else. Temujin, his mother and his siblings were left alone in the wilderness. They survived by eating roots, wild berries, and small animals. At one point, hunger became so severe that Temujin killed his own half-brother during a fight over food. This was not the childhood of a king. This was survival at its ugliest. Then things became worse. Temujin was captured by an enemy tribe and forced into slavery. A wooden collar was locked around his neck. For many people, this would have been the end of the story. But one night, Temujin escaped. And from that moment forward, he stopped trusting tribes, traditions, and old loyalties. Instead, he began building something entirely new. Most empires were built by wealth. The Mongols were built by hardship. Every Mongol child learned to ride horses almost before they could walk. Boys hunted in freezing winds. Women managed camps while armies traveled for months. Entire families lived in motion. Life itself trained them for war. But what made Mongol warriors terrifying was not just toughness, it was speed. Each warrior traveled with multiple horses, switching mounts during long journeys, while enemy armies marched slowly on foot. The Mongols moved like a storm. Then came the horse archers. Mongol riders could fire arrows accurately while galloping at full speed. Some could shoot behind themselves while retreating. And that retreat was often a trap. Enemies believed the Mongols were fleeing, so they chased them straight into ambushes. Entire armies disappeared this way. But the most dangerous weapon the Mongols possessed was not arrows. It was discipline. Unlike many kingdoms where noble birth determined rank, the Mongols promoted people based on loyalty and skill. A shepherd could become a general. A prince could be punished. That system created warriors who fought not just out of fear, but because victory could completely change their lives. Temujin understood something most rulers did not. Men fight harder when they believe they can rise, and slowly, tribe by tribe, he united the steppe. Then he received a new name, Genghis Khan, universal ruler. The Mongol Empire had begun. At first, neighboring civilizations underestimated them. To settled empires, the Mongols looked like nomads from empty grasslands. But then cities began falling. The Mongols attacked with terrifying coordination. Scouts gathered intelligence months before invasions. Messengers carried information across enormous distances. Engineers from conquered territories built siege weapons for them. The empire learned from every civilization it defeated. China gave them siege technology. Persia gave them administrators. Captured scholars improved communication systems. The Mongols were not just destroyers. They absorbed useful ideas from everyone. And that made them stronger after every conquest. Then came the fear tactics. If a city resisted, the Mongols could destroy it completely. But if it surrendered quickly, it might survive. That reputation spread faster than the armies themselves. Some cities surrendered immediately just from hearing the Mongols were coming. Others panicked and fled before battles even started. The Mongols had discovered psychological warfare centuries before modern armies would study it. And it worked. Within decades, the Mongol Empire exploded across Asia, the Middle East, and Eastern Europe. Kingdom after kingdom collapsed. Entire civilizations watched the horizon in terror, waiting for the horsemen to appear. But here is the part many people never hear about. The Mongol Empire was not built only on destruction. It also connected the world in ways never seen before. Trade routes became safer under Mongol control. Merchants traveled enormous distances across Asia. Ideas moved faster. Technology spread faster. Cultures mixed. For the first time in history, huge parts of Eurasia became linked under one massive empire. The Silk Road flourished. Paper, gunpowder, inventions, medical knowledge and trade flowed across continents. Even travelers like Marco Polo crossed Mongol territory. The empire that terrified the world also helped reshape it. But underneath the success, a dangerous problem was growing. The empire was becoming too large. Too many territories. Too many rival leaders. Too many sons fighting for power. And when Genghis Khan died, the cracks began to spread. The Mongols conquered the world together, but they could not rule it together. After Genghis Khan's death, his descendants fought over succession. The empire split into competing regions known as khanates. Some Mongols became more connected to China. Others ruled Persia. Others pushed toward Europe. And slowly, they stopped acting like one empire. Civil wars weakened them. Trade routes became unstable. Local cultures changed Mongol rulers over time. The very thing that made the empire powerful, a rapid expansion, now became impossible to control. Distance became an enemy, and eventually, the empire that once terrified civilizations began collapsing piece by piece. Not from invasion, but from within. Yet even after its collapse, the Mongol Empire changed history forever. Borders shifted, trade networks expanded, military tactics evolved, entire civilizations were transformed, and it all began with a starving boy abandoned on the cold plains of Mongolia. A child the world expected to die. But perhaps the most frightening part of the Mongol Empire was not how brutal it became. It was how human its origins were. Hunger, fear, survival, ambition. The empire that conquered much of the world was not born in palaces or great cities. It was born on an empty steppe, where weakness meant death, and only the ruthless survived.